Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, tonight we're going to talk about red flag gun seizures. Seems timely considering we just had somebody get killed in one. So, if you don't know what one of these things is, it's where the local cops say, hey, this person's a threat. We need to take their guns. They get a court order and they temporarily seize them. Okay, this makes sense. The idea is sound. Okay, the execution isn't. The idea is sound. And that's the reason I want to talk about it, because it is a good idea in theory, but the way it's being executed makes it a bad idea, and it doesn't take much to fix it. So, the way it's currently happening is cops say this person is a threat. They've made these Facebook posts. We think they're going to be a mass shooter. They go to a judge, they get a rubber stamp, and then they go take his guns. Okay, it doesn't matter how you feel about guns. As the law currently stands in the United States, it's an individual right. It's supposed to be an inalienable right. For them to be able to take it even temporarily without due process is scary. That's not a good thing. Okay, now let's go to the tactical implementation of it, how it's happening. In this case, where the guy got killed, cop showed up at 5 a.m. Man, that sounds familiar. Sneaking up on your opposition early in the morning when they're disoriented, not thinking clearly. Yeah, it's a good tactic. In combat, when the idea is to sneak in and kill them. If you're wanting to have a civil conversation, and I give these cops credit, the two that showed up, from what I understand, they just knocked on the door, they didn't kick it in. If you want to have a civil conversation, perhaps that's not the best time. This is something that's happened a lot lately. The cops are mimicking military tactics, and they don't understand why they're used. That tactic is used in the military because people are disoriented. They're not thinking clearly. It gives you an edge when you go in to kill them. Now, if if you want to have a civil conversation, especially with somebody who you believe is predisposed to violence, do you really want to have it when they're not thinking clearly and they're disoriented? Perhaps a little agitated because you drug them out of bed at 5 a.m.? Doesn't make a lot of sense. This is happening a lot, and it needs to stop. You know, cops are picking up these tactics, and they're using them in a police setting when they're not designed to be. And they're getting these toys from DOD. They get the toy and they don't get the training. It's why you got babies getting maimed by concussion grenades. Happened in Georgia. They don't know how to use it. They get the toy, they don't get the training. Now, personally, I don't think they should have either, but that's a subject for another video. So that's one way, that it gets implemented. It gets executed. The cops go in and they knock on the door. That's great. In some cases, they kick the door in. Now, put yourself in the shoes of the guy who's getting his guns taken. You've committed no crime. You have no reasonable expectation for the police to be kicking in your door. Who do you think it is? You don't think, oh, it's the cops. You think it's an intruder. How do you respond? It's going to lead to more dead bodies. Okay, so legal execution, not good. Tactical execution, not good. What if there was a way to fix it by just doing it one thing? So instead of going to this guy's house in the early morning, why not? I mean, if you know that he's a threat and you're certain enough of this to want to deprive him of inalienable rights, you've got to know something about him. You should know where he works at least. Why not pull him over on the way home when he doesn't have an arsenal of weapons at his disposal? Maybe he has one on him, but that's it. You're mitigating that risk. More importantly, you can cuff him, take him straight from there to his hearing, and give him due process. And you're not giving up that element of surprise. See, that's the reason they didn't want to do they wanted to get the guns before the hearing, because they're worried about kind of tipping their hand. And if the guy was going to commit a mass shooting, okay, well, you're going to have your hearing next week and we'll take your guns then, so he does it before the hearing. This way you don't lose that. So you can pick them up on their way home, take them straight to their hearing. Because at that hearing, you may find out those Facebook posts that this whole thing is based on, it's not even his profile. It's somebody else making them. You can find out he lost his phone and one of his friends is playing a joke on him and making the post for him. You could find out that the person who said all of this, well, they owe him $200 and they don't want to pay it. That due process is important. So you've got a good idea, guys. If you're in the gun control crowd, you need to be on the horn with your representative to fix this immediately. Because the more bodies that pile up, and there will be more, eventually these laws are just going to get thrown out. Now, if you're in the pro-gun side, if due process is there, what's the problem? Seriously. You don't really want some loon out there running around saying he's going to kill people while he's got his weapons at home, do you? Makes you look bad. You want to find a way to make this law work, because the less of these shooters there are, the better off you're going to be. This is one of those things that everybody should be working for. And it should be pretty easy to make it happen. It's a good idea. The execution is bad. And the execution can be fixed very easily. So, anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.